all the attention right now is on Russia and Ukraine and the impacts that this has working itself back to North America. And I heard a statement this morning that was really, really interesting where we talked about just in time, okay? And the world was so fascinated by just in time. Everything was worked that way. I order it, it shows up at my doorstep tomorrow. Or it's something to do with the business supply chain. I order it, I need it, I order it, and it's there on a timely basis. And what we've learned throughout, basically since the last 2 years, going back to March of 2020 when the pandemic started, and now is even escalated even more with what's happening in Ukraine, just in time is difficult. Our reliance on just in time as consumers and business operators, it's kind of falling flat. It's really, really challenged. And it makes us reconsider a little bit, how quickly we're moving to thinking about, instead of just in time, moving towards, I got to manage this as just in case. And the just in case part is, just in case plan A doesn't work out, what's plan B? What's plan C? I had a conversation with an ag retailer yesterday, and they talked about how, we're at all of our outlets, we're really having to make sure that our sales representatives, when talking to the farmer, not over-promising, because there's a lot of unknown variables still as we're getting this close to planting and seeding. So you have to have plan A, but you also got to have B, C, D, and sometimes elemental P, as I've said before on this show. It does bring up thoughts and questions going forward, though, in some of the infrastructure requirements, even at the farm level. Okay, so we had Janice Tranberg on from Alberta Cattle Feeders Association earlier this week, and you think about that in particular. So we have issues with the drought in 2021. And that's been compounded now by the potential for CP rail strike and what that could mean for corn deliveries coming north into the cattle feeding regions. And the fact that there isn't enough feed, or at least feed and storage to really some of this disruption to last a long time. That all makes sense. Now, if you look at it from the just in case scenario, you have to say, okay, does this change going forward in terms of how much storage is at a feed yard at one time? Same can be said in, say, hog operations when it comes to getting soybean meal out of the U.S. Will we start to see, we used to work on so many days of rolled barley or rolled corn that you could have on site at one time? Do we see expansion of that, an added capacity to bring in, these just in case sort of measures? I think it's something we're going to think about a little bit more going forward. It really does kind of feel that way. Think about the manufacturing. I'm sure if you look at equipment manufacturers, or you look at crop production manufacturers, they're all really looking at their supply chains, right? Think back to the Bayer letter that came out, that Louisiana plant that had some mechanical issues, and think about how that one plant put a shock through the marketplace. It absolutely blew things up for like 2 weeks as Bayer tried to figure out what does this mean for their supplies of the product. And so you have to think going forward in this just in case more of an environment. We talk about A, B, C, D in terms of the plans. That's going to be the same way on the manufacturing side. Okay? If we have disruption here, we can go to there, or we can go over here. We're going to see more of this. And that's when we talk about resiliency in the supply chain, I really think that's kind of what we're talking about. I think that word resiliency is overused way too much, but it really is moving to a just in case kind of supply chain scenario for many of us.